Happy Halloween, everybody. This is Steve with Real Progressives. Today we're going to take von Clausewitz' great statement that war is politics by other means. And it's a very, very powerful statement because as you think about it, what is going on in the United States today? What are we dealing with today? As we sit there and we talk about fighting for the American people and fighting for our families to have access to health care, access to a federal job guarantee, access to free college, access to things that should normally be covered for people living in a free society, people that are governed in a democracy, people that live in a republic, people that actually are free, right? But when a government literally convinces you that it needs to not serve you in order to serve you, it has pulled the major coup d'etat on the people. It has literally stripped away our sanity, stripped away logic and reason. And it has made us literally carnivores, eating our own selves. We're talking about literally eating ourselves alive. So we sit there and we look at folks, around the world, whenever the United States issues some sort of a, bottom line is they put a sanction out there and they sanction some country and they cut off the food or they cut off the access to different needed supplies. We consider that an act of war. But yet when we talk about not giving the American people health care, somehow or another we say that's just good, prudent, fiscal thinking. That's just good financial thinking, man. We just gotta really, really pinch pennies there. You know what I'm saying? But you never, ever, ever hear that. Ever hear that. When it comes to the military, when it comes to any other tax cut, we always have money out the wazoo for tax cuts, right? We have money just pouring out of our pores for warfare, for bombs, for whatever. But the minute you try to serve the American people, you're given the big old heave-ho and told, hey, we gotta make some tough decisions. We have no idea how we'll ever pay for this. And they have convinced us that they're right. If you think I'm lying, go out there and debate some of your friends, some of your progressive friends. See how many progressives believe that the United States government is broke and needs an income from our taxes. Look how many of them think that somehow or another the United States government has run out of pieces of paper in order to serve your medical needs. Progressives, folks. Progressives. I'm not even entering into conservative land yet. We haven't even begun talking about establishment Democrats. Hell, once we get over there, it gets really, really yucky. I'm talking about the quote-unquote good guys, our team. Team Real Progressives. How many do you think are co-signing this war against the people thinking that the United States government is broke? How many do you think the United States government doesn't create money every time it spends? How many of you think taxes actually pay for programs? How many of you think your tax dollar paid for the military? How many of you think that your tax dollars pay to Israel? How many of you think you're actually paying for Social Security? Think about it. It's the same exact answer on the test every single time, and they use it to great precision. This war is a war that we have adopted on ourselves. It's almost like taking your child and throwing him in front of a bus every day. That's what this whole lie has done to us. It is ridiculous. I want you to think about how ridiculous this is. Money comes in several forms: paper, coins, and keystrokes. It's not gold. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by oil. It's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. These things are created at will. Congress, Article 1, Section 8, it's still in play. We haven't gotten rid of the Constitution. Has the right to mint the coin, create money. When you understand this, and you accept the government saying we've got to raise your taxes to pay for you to have health care, you are taking your child and literally throwing them in front of a bus. You're strapping them down to a train track and you're saying, train, yo, hit them. Because you don't understand. They have done this mind game with you, with all of us. And this war that they are committing is the rich, the wealthy, the oligarchs, the plutocrats. It's not just some Rothschilds conspiracy, some Federal Reserve conspiracy. It's not any of that. They have convinced you that in order for you to have nice things, in order for the economy to be going on, you've got to kill yourself every day. You've got to pick up your pitchfork and go out to work every day hard, real hard. And if you do the right things, maybe things will work out for you. If you invest your money, maybe it'll work out for you. That way they keep us down. You don't ever hear the rich while they're on their yacht smoking their Cohiba, drinking their friggin' Grand Marnier. You never hear them talking about putting in a good hard day's work. They just made better choices. Hell, if they gamble in in some sort of an investment thing, they just get bailed out anyway. They've got access to all kinds of stuff. They got access to bonds. They got access to name it. They have all kinds of stuff put in place to prevent them from bellying up. Look at Donald Trump, how many times he's gone under. Alone, just him. You flash forward to us, and we ask for health care, and we're called communists. Oh, you just want free stuff. And this is from the people that don't have shit to begin with, too. This is the low level. This is us, we the people, crabs in a barrel, pulling each other down, the tragedy of the commons. They have convinced us that a nation that freely creates keystrokes, pieces of paper, and coins, Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, for those of you who are, really, really proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. There you go, right there. Article 1, Section 8. That should be really, really good stuff there. Red, white, and blue. These colors don't run. Article 1, Section 8. Look it up. You don't trust me? Look up your own. I'm sure you got a pocket constitution sitting there, right there. We are living. Article 1, Section 8. The thing that backs our currency is the tax, the ability to tax. It makes you need the currency, period. That's what gives it its value. And the fact that the United States government can purchase and service its own needs, which is we the people. It's supposed to be we the people. It's always been supposed to be we the people. It's always supposed to have been the public money. It's always been that. But we have allowed them to lie to us. In 1946, Beardsley Ruml, then the Fed chair of the New York Fed, said point blank, taxes for revenue are obsolete. 1946. And then in 1971, Richard Nixon removed the gold peg and took us out of the Bretton Woods Accord. The only people that weren't in on this game were you and I. We got left behind. We get foreclosure notices. We get people knocking on our door, process servers, telling us that they're going to garnish our wages if we don't pay. We get rotten teeth. We get big old stents placed for our heart valve problems because we are so stressed out trying to chase a buck. We suffer mightily for this game they've played. And here's the thing. The issue isn't destroy the system. The issue is to understand the system so that we can begin to fight the right fight and use it for ourselves as well. But when they get you believing that you can't have nice things because they are broke, and you see them repeatedly cut taxes, and then you see them repeatedly reduce services, and then you see them repeatedly increase spending on the military, and then you see them increasingly bomb around the world, you know that what they're doing is not for our freedoms, but to expand markets for those people at the top level that are getting that first dollar when it's spent, because it's not being spent on you and I. Halliburton, all these big companies. Look at all the ones that get that first dollar spent. Agent Orange, baby. Monsanto. These guys get that cash, that first dollar spent. It makes it to them before it gets stepped on via a tax. And then you and I, we're struggling, right? I consider that warfare, right? That is a warfare. That is an act of war. And we are the victims. And the only weapon at our disposal, is knowledge. That's it. It's knowledge. And when your friends and your candidates run around telling you that they've got to raise taxes to pay for your existence, to pay for things. Now, mind you, this is at the federal level. Now, I want you to think about something. I'm going to take you down to the state level because it starts getting really ugly once you hit the state level. The federal government is the currency issuer. The federal government is the currency issuer. State governments are currency users, like Greece is a currency user in the EU. You see how Greece went belly up. You see what's happening in Puerto Rico right now. This is the difference between a currency issuer and a currency user. So when the federal government allows Puerto Rico to be picked apart by vultures instead of being made whole, this is economic warfare. The Puerto Rican people are a net importer. They can't, not only do they not make their own goods and services, but they've got to import it. And not only that, but they've got to depend on the US dollar because they've got no real resources really to bank an economy off of without it. Pillage, rape and pillage of the Puerto Rican land, of the people. Think of Haiti. Folks, when you look at Flint, Michigan, and all you're doing is focusing on the local alderman, and you're focusing on some pukey mayor that got over, you're missing the bigger picture. Because when the federal government cuts federal spending and reduces the deficit, the states start losing money too. And so what happens? States like Kansas, states like Texas, states like Florida cut their sales tax, cut their state income tax, eliminate their sales tax, eliminate their state income tax. And then all of a sudden the businesses flock there. And what happens to the people in the other states? They get gutted. They get left behind. We've been left behind in this economic war. We have been left behind in this economic war. And I'm here to tell you that the answer is there for us. We just have to recognize it. And when you hear a politician tell you the wrong thing, you must stand in that gap and fight back. They may be an innocent victim in this game as well, because a lot of you and I have started running for office. And when we run for office and we're ignorant about how economics works, we do the same exact warfare against ourselves, this masochistic belief system that taxes pay for things at the federal level. if we revenue shared amongst the states, if the federal government offset state so you didn't have mass business flight leaving from point A to point B, if you didn't have people being gutted and left behind, we could do so many more things. There would be an end to this poverty, to this despair, but they thrive on it because they profit off of your despair. They being the people that are the capitalist class. And I'm not talking about just capitalism, okay? I'm not here to throw one of these I can't solve it problems at you. I'm talking about the vultures. I'm talking about the people that have captured your legislature. I'm talking about the people that have captured our Congress, the special interests, the lobbyists. These folks, when you see Rick Perry wooing businesses down to Texas, come on down, guys, we'll give you a sweetheart deal on the taxes. And then all of a sudden, the people not only in their area suffer, maybe they get a little perk because there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of commerce going on local. But for those places that have been abandoned, how do you get out of there? You're trapped. You're stuck without an escape plan. And this is how we end up with really, really bad desperation in the United States, because it is an economic war against the people. It's an economic war against the people. So you need to understand that we need to explode the deficit. We need to explode the deficit, but it needs to be spent on the people. We need Medicare for all. We need more than Medicare for all. We actually need a national health service. We need free college because student debt is at $1.5 trillion. There's no reason our federal government is holding $1.5 trillion worth of debt over the heads of students. It's unconscionable. It's warfare. It is enslavement, because you can't get a job without an education, and you can't get an education without the ball and chain hanging around your neck. Think about what I'm saying. Think about this. We talk about the banks, but let me tell you something. Congress alone has the control of the banks. If it abdicates its role, is it the banks or is it Congress you got to focus on? Because Congress alone can force the situation. They're not powerless. They are the ones that create the shit. They create the regulations. They create the apparatus. They fund the oversight. Do you realize we could have a bazillion jobs overseeing the banks to ensure that they only do the things that they're supposed to do, period. But we will underfund it so that it purposely fails, so we can say, see, government's a failure. Did you see government failed you once again? Government healthcare failed you by underfunding it. You know, why would you underfund something when you create it from scratch? Do you not see this? This is so important. This is the warfare. These are the bullets being shot at us. We've got to learn to fight back. It doesn't matter, you know, this big blue wave people are talking about. It won't matter a hill of beans if they're out there telling you that your tax dollars are paying for things. They're doing the same stuff as the enemy, even though they're the good guys. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't take any joy in this. This is true. Fact check me. I'll debate anyone. I'm telling you, this is truth. I've been saying this on camera for over 3 years. I've done over 800 videos. And I'm telling you right now, I'll do another 1,000 or 1,200 or 80,000 until this sticks, until people start waking up. I don't believe in political parties. I believe in movements. And I'll tell you why. Because it requires Republicans to get this too. It requires LOL libertarians, my friends, to get this too. It requires communists and socialists to get this too. It requires Greens to get this too. It requires vote blue sycophants to get this too. It requires all of us, the full 99%. Not just your little party, because then it becomes a partisan issue and people don't wake up. This is one of those things where whether you're a goose-stepping fascist or whether you're a fist in the air, hammer and sickler, it doesn't make a bit of difference. The fact is the fact is the fact. A sovereign, free-floating fiat currency works exactly the same in Japan, in Australia, in the UK, in Canada, you name it. And when you realize that that's exactly how it works in Russia and China, etc., you start going, oh snap. Oh, snap. So it's not just the Rothschilds in the U.S. Everybody's doing this, but we act like we're some special gang here. Because what if we lose the world reserve currency? BFD. It doesn't matter. It's a joke. It's a farce. It's things people tell each other at the fire pit. It's over a beer. It's not real. The real stuff is, hey, the United States government, as long as it can tax in its own currency, and this is why Bitcoin will never overtake the dollar. This is why none of those cryptocurrencies will ever overtake the dollar, because you can't pay your taxes in them. You have to convert your Bitcoin into US dollars to pay your taxes. And that's by design. Because the point of the tax is not to pay for stuff. The point of the tax is to force you to use that currency. So you can get all the Bitcoins you want, but it's still going to be priced in US dollars. Trust me, I'm 100% right. Nah, 1,000% right. This is why when we think we've won some little war and we don't understand this root here that I'm talking about, the brutality will continue until we get it. It just will. Lottery commodities like Bitcoin and stuff like that have nothing to do with a currency. And until you can pay your tax in them, which you won't be able to, unless the United States decides to adopt a cryptocurrency of its own that you will pay tax in, then you might have something. But that's because the state, it's state theory of money. Learn it, live it, live it. I mean, seriously. The state is the creator of the currency. The state is not only the creator of the currency, but it can give agency to others to create it if it so chooses. But it's just a unit of measure. You don't run out of inches. You don't run out of degrees. You don't run out of points on a scoreboard. It's a unit of measure, nothing more. It's not some fine thing you dug up from the bottom of the, oh man, got me a fiat currency. Let me bite into it. It's not that at all. It's a unit. You don't run out of yards. You don't run out of feet. You don't run out of inches. You don't run out of millimeters. And where do they come from? Who knows? It's just a unit of measure. That's all the dollar is a unit of measure. You've never seen a dollar, because a dollar is simply a measure. You've seen a representation of it in pieces of paper, but it's still just a unit of measure. Just like the British pound is a unit of measure. Just like the Australian dollar is a unit of measure. Just like the Japanese yen is a unit of measure. At some point in time, this has got to stick. It's got to stick. You got to get it. Because this is the bullet they're putting to your head. Making you believe they've run out of inches. Making you believe they've run out of yards. Making you believe they've run out of seconds and minutes. Making you believe that you've run out of whatever it is. Because the real deal that they're protecting is the real resources that you can purchase with those things. It's not the dollars that they're running out of. It's the scarce resources like healthcare. They're protecting it for themselves, like all the other things. If you want better, you must do better. If you want something different, you must do something different. If you've always been saying taxes fund spending at the federal level, then it's time you stop saying that and time you start saying it the right way and recognizing bonds don't fund spending. Bonds are simply a savings account that earns interest. And guess what? When they sell the bond, they already budgeted the interest. It literally doesn't fund money. It doesn't fund any spending at all. And it doesn't matter whether other people lose confidence in the dollar, because as long as the United States government can tax it and put your ass in jail for not paying your taxes or garnish your wages or anything else, who cares if it loses confidence? You need it. You need that dollar. You can't pay your taxes in anything else. You can't pay it in chicken necks, gold, diamonds, gasoline. You can get barrels of petrol and you can't pay your taxes in it. You can sell your barrels of petrol and get dollars, but you can't pay your taxes in it. The only thing you can pay your taxes in is dollars, and that's what backs our currency, is tax-driven money. Get the petrodollar shit out. Anyone that says it, incorrect, wrong. Part of those psyops. You like these words, psyops? There's a psyop. It's the petrodollar, man. Psyop, wrong. That's the mind fuck. That's what keeps us in the loser's lane. That's what keeps us losing. That's what keeps them kicking our ass while they siphon GDP to the top 1%. And we sit there fighting each other about immigrants coming to our country. Oh, man, we're not going to be able to afford it. Jed over here is going to lose his job because Juan over here is going to take it from him. Bullshit. That's the scarcity narrative. That's the scarcity narrative that neoliberals and this shit keep pumping us. That's the warfare. That is the warfare. That is the bullet to the head. There's always somebody else other than the rich that are your problem. It's always some person laying on the ground, not working hard, getting over on the system. You know what I mean? They're going ahead and getting over on the system, cheating the system. Hell, they're a lazy son of a bitch. Well, I remember I used to have to work 17 jobs just to go. And you know what? I don't take my college degree for granted now. I had to work real hard to get that. Cost me $2,400. Never mind your $127,000 student loan today. Cost me $2,400 a few years back. I'm telling you, folks, this is real serious. We need to advance at every town hall. We need to advance at every rally. At every single political gathering, we need to be there with signs saying taxes don't fund spending, stop lying to us, stop killing us. How about that? Take it another level. You are killing us with these lies. You are murdering us. How many suicides from joblessness have occurred because of this lie? They keep 5% of us unemployed because they're afraid of inflation. They'd rather 5% of us hang ourselves. 45,000 a year commit suicide from joblessness. They would rather that. That's another part of the war. They're killing us off by suicide. See what I'm saying? If I create the conditions that force you to be unemployed and force you to lose your home and force your family to split up and force your life to go down to hell in a handbasket, then I win, right? Then all of a sudden, this war, you start looking around for a scapegoat because it's too hard to understand the fact that this is the way the system is set up right now because you believe your tax dollars paying for it. And down the fucking toilet you go. Down the toilet we all go. This is a we thing here, man. This death spiral, we're all in it together. There's a few lucky birds that fly out of the barrel. But most of us are crabs in a barrel, and we keep pulling each other down because we can't stand the thought of somebody else getting an extra can of crab meat with their food stamps. Oh, heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. You ever seen the scowler at in the checkout line looking over someone's shoulder? Hey, looks like they got some fresh crab meat. That's not allowed on Snap. They're just getting over on the system, man. That's my hard-earned tax dollar. Do you see this warfare? This is war. All the while, what little bit of productivity you get from automation, they're making us believe there's no jobs. So here, let's give you a friggin' starvation UBI here. Yeah, and then we all say, yeah, please give us a UBI. We can't do it. There's automation is taking over everything. Bullshit. Horse shit in a chef's salad bullshit. That's another neoliberal bullet to the head, to our movement. Give me a federal job guarantee so you can't ruin my life anymore. I'm telling you, folks, I swear to God, I woke up this morning thinking about this because I've got an exam this afternoon for a certification I never thought I would need, but I'm going to take it anyway because I need a job. And thank God people gave a shit about me that have helped me through. But let me tell you, most people, right down the toilet. And nobody would even give a second's thought because they're too busy worrying about whether they're going to be able to eat that day too. They keep us desperate. Then all of a sudden it sounds like, well, if we all pull together, we could go ahead and do some permaculture and grow some food and do this, that, and the other. That is not a national solution to poverty. That is not a national solution to the war being fought on the poor. Hell, it's not even the poor anymore. It's regular people. Regular people, just your neighbors. They're all living paycheck to paycheck. A few people got a few bucks socked away. Few people bet big on some Forex gamble and have a couple $100,000. But that is not a national answer to the fault lines that we have in our nation. This is a war. This is sanctions against Iran. This is sanctions against Russia. This is sanctions against the American people. Austerity. It's war. Fight back. Use your mind and understand that the currency is not scarce at all. That they can afford every one of our needs right now. And to accept anything less than that is being complicit in the war being waged against you and your children. All of us need to band together and really, really create a mass movement so powerful and strong, so epic, that we can fight back with sheer numbers. Knowledge is a weapon that creates bloodless revolutions. I'm here to create a bloodless revolution. Let's do this. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives, hoping you learned something today. Have a good day, everybody.